Welcome to the Pitmaster Podcast. We're barbecue competition competitors that aim to share information, advice, tips, and tall tales about our favorite pastime. Head over to the pitmasterpodcast.com for all things Pitmasters, or follow us on your favorite social media platform. And now, here are the hosts of the Pitmaster Podcast, the two-time grand champion, SCA World Champion finalist, and barbecue specialist of Smoke Ain't No Joke Barbecue, the Anthony Luan, and the 24-time grand and reserve grand champion, reserve world grand champion, Windover High Roller champion, and the founder of Pitmaster Barbecue Supply Company stores in Utah, the old man himself from Big Johnson's Barbecue, Jesse Johnson.
This is Greg Rempe from the Barbecue Central Show, and you are listening to the Pitmasters Podcast, and they are doing it live.
We'll do it live.
That's right, Bill. I just said that. They're going to do it live.
We'll do it live.
Yes, live. They're going to do it live.
What's up, Pitmasters? How are you guys this week, man? What's up, Jesse?
What's up, Mr. Anthony, the Anthony Luong?
Not a whole lot, man. Today we got John Kellum on the show, man. I don't know if a lot of people know about this guy, but he's a big Traeger guy. He loves to cook on his Traeger. But the key point of this dude is he is a huge Jacksonville Jaguars fan. He lives for the football season.
We won't fault him for that.
but he lives for the football season to cook at the tailgating party. Like, that is his thing. Like, he like literally he probably goes and sweeps his spot off and everything before he even gets set up. You know, it's a full blown, you know, he just loves the football season, and we're getting there, man. Preseason's just around the corner. Everything, but we gotta get through all the.
Have you seen some of the setups at the University of Utah, man? Some of the guys that set up at the University of Utah just go all out. It's much fun.
It is wild, man. Yeah, we just got to get through all these other sporting events we have going on. The Olympics is going crazy. I'm a huge Olympic fan. I don't know most of you know, but
did you watch the opening ceremony?
I did not watch the opening ceremony. They're too long for one. I just don't ever watch them. They're just too long. I don't even worry about it. And now there's drama behind it, so I'm glad I wasn't connected to any of the stuff going on anyway.
Yeah, there was some really cool stuff, and then there was some questionable stuff. It's like, come on, guys. But yeah, the venue's absolutely beautiful. I mean, so it's been fun to watch that. So
yeah, you know, Jesse, you know, I'm an archery guy.
Yep,
and
we both are. Hence the logo.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Jesse, this is the first year I just realized I have not put my hands on an Olympic bow. The last 3-4 Olympics, I've actually hand built, you know, helped build an Olympic bow. You know, Brady Ellison's bow, some of the Koreans' bows. You know, I've had my hands on an Olympic winning bow, gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal. You know, and this year is the first year since I switched jobs that I haven't done that. So it's kind of like, man, that's kind of disappointing. But cool.
So a lot of people don't know the difference that they're shooting at. Like there's hunting bows, there's tack bows for Total Archery Challenge, and then there's target bows. Are these target bows, or are these a different level of target bows?
No, they are recurve bows. So, like what Jesse was saying.
So they're old school.
Yeah. They're high tech old school.
Right.
They don't have a let off. You know, compound bows, you pull it back and then you have a resting spot and an anchor point that doesn't have a lot of stress on it. Well, recurve bows, you pull them back and they're actually farther you go back, heavier they get to pull.
Right.
So yeah, but it's a really cool thing, and I'm kind of bummed that I'm not a part of it this year, but it's all good. I still are pulling for Team USA, Brady Ellison, you know, to go out there and slay it and bring home a gold medal for that. And then also, since we're talking about Olympic sports, I'm kind of excited to watch breakdancing. Everybody knows I'm a big hip hop guy, and hip hop is actually
excited
made
to watch
to
it too.
The Olympics. That's pretty dope, you know, to see breakdancing. And then beach volleyball. I just wanted to watch beach volleyball just because the setting, it is the most beautiful setting in Olympic history. You know, you have the beach volleyball with the Eiffel Tower in the background. It's a really cool thing. I'm kind of geeked out on the Olympic sports, but
and then cool. all the surfing competitions are in French Polynesia, basically in Tahiti.
Yeah, Tahiti, yeah, that's cool too.
Yeah, it's the farthest venue that's ever been away from the opening ceremonies in Olympics ever.
Yeah, that's
very
wild.
Cool.
I just want to know who's out there cooking. I want to know if anybody's actually really cooking for the Olympics, or, you know, barbecuing, or is partaking in any of that. So if you are, let us know. That'd be kind of cool to see that. But I don't have any much news. Do you have any events or anything that we need to talk about, Jesse?
We got a backyard event coming up for Tomato Days. That'll be Labor Day weekend, the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. So we'll have that. That link will be up and rolling here later today. We usually fit 20, 25 teams into that competition. So that should be a whole bunch of fun. So, and then it's been a busy week at the store because, man, we had a bunch of shipments this week. So we're fully stocked in all of the grills now. So it's been crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then the next XCA event out west in Utah is going to be in Pleasant Grove, August 24th. So get signed up for that. I'm sorry I didn't pull up the information, but there is an event. I'm not sure what the ancillaries are, but it is.
Before we hop into our guest, tell me what your week was like with the new RFX.
Oh man, I haven't really used it. We had training. We are training regularly on this thing. We did a pork training.
I can't imagine how many pre-orders you guys received on this item.
Yeah, it's bonkers, man. It's so cool to see how many people are buying this thing. I think it's going to be a complete game changer. I'm going to be using it today on some tri-tips. I've used it on ribs. I've used it actually in a crock pot because it's waterproof. I put it in my smoker, two layers of foil plus getting outside the smoker, and I still got range. So that's awesome. What I really like about it too, since we're hyping it too, it has 4 sensors in it, Jesse. I don't know if you know that. So there's 4 sensors working its way up there. So you're able to stick it into a steak, and it's going to give you a lowest readout. So you'll be able to hit thermal center more accurately. But it's still always good to check with your thermopen to verify. But it has the 4 sensors, so you're able to make sure that you're in that thermal center. It's very difficult to hit a thermal center in a steak every single time with a single probe, so
and you were able to use it on a rib, so it's thin enough to go between the bones and get an accurate reading then.
Yeah, it's I'm not going to say that it's like perfect for ribs. I wouldn't use it on baby backs, spare ribs only, and being able to get it in between the bones. It's going to give you a ballpark on ribs. It's not going to be like super, super precise because we know the bones generate heat and everything like that, but it's good. Yeah. It's going to help bring you a lot closer to where you need to be. It's going to be a lot better for, thicker cuts without the bones, but I just had to test it to see what it did. It was pretty dang accurate, but I was slightly off. I think it was a little too close to a bone from what my thermopen reading. It wasn't off by much. It was 5 degrees. That's not bad in a rib bone.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. I know all over social media people is like, I ordered mine. I said, I can't imagine how many they pre-sold. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see it on the market. And what's cool about it is you can I can go to a competition, be a host and bring my gateway, and then everybody around me can just use their probes and they can go off my gateway. They can have their own probes at a competition, but they'll be able to tie in my gateway and still be able to get their readings. So that's really up to 50 probes. So at one of these backyard competitions, you just put one in the middle of your competition. If everybody has probes, and that's connected to your store for the Wi-Fi, everybody would still be able to get their own individual probe readings.
That's amazing.
Right?
That's just such an upgrade in technology. So and using radio frequency instead of Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, it's just changes the game. It's amazing
for sure. Yep. Well, cool, man. Let's just get into talking to John, man. John's a cool dude. I ran into him, actually met him at the Traeger event this past, early summer. He came out and hung out with me at a KCBS competition. Cooked a steak for him. He enjoyed it. I hope he did anyways. At least that's what he told me.
And then what he told you.
Yeah. And then, we just became good buddies, and he's out of Florida, out in Jacksonville area. So he kind of always in a good cooking environment. So he doesn't have snow coming in sideways on us when we're trying to cook, but he also does get tropical storms. So kind of a little bit offset, but he's a big Traeger guy. And I want to let him know happy birthday. It's his birthday. He's spending his birthday with us. So that's cool.
That's nice. That's really nice of him.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's go talk to John, man.
Sounds good. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yep.
We call it Thermapen 1, the first true 1-second cooking thermometer. Its unprecedented speed means Thermapen 1's responsiveness approaches the speed of thought. Because when you're plating the perfect menu or smoking the perfect side of barbecue, you don't have time to think about how your instant read thermometer is accurate to 0.5 degrees in 1 second or less, or how rugged and waterproof it is, or how big, elegant and bright the backlit display is. You'll just know it works, because our perfection powers your perfection. Seek perfection with Thermapen 1.
What's up, John? How are you, man?
What's up, guys? Good morning. How are y'all? Yeah, good morning.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, it's this morning. Yeah, it's afternoon for you, or I guess noontime for you. But happy birthday, bro. Let's just get that out the way.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I wouldn't know of a better way to kick it off by talking about some barbecue with two legends. I mean, you think about the accolades that Jesse when they're talking about it on the intro, it's just like, what is insane. Like, I don't know, like, is there any other barbecue awards that this guy can win? And and I mean, doing the research for Thermapen and like getting all that stuff, man, and like actually cooking for it, man. You guys are living the dream.
Oh, man, it's so good. It's fun. It's just fun, man. I just enjoy cooking that much. So, John, we talked about on the intro, you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I can't give you no shit for it. I'm a Cowboys. I'm a Cowboys fan. I got respect. You're AFC, so I don't even worry about it. You know what I mean? But how did you become a Jacksonville fan? This is going to tie into the barbecue side, but how did that all become about? Is it just because you're in Jacksonville? What's the story behind all that?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, man. So my dad was in the United States Navy. He served in the Navy for 25 years. So give shout out to all of our military servicemen and women out there across the globe and everything. So we were stationed in Sigonella, Sicily. So when it came time for him to get his new orders, he sat me, my brother, and my mom down and was like, "Hey, we're going to we're going to do a different duty station. This is where we're going to go." And he had 3 hats, right? So at the time, I think I was in like 3rd grade. So when you're stationed across the world, anybody that doesn't know, you get this channel called like Armed Forces Network, AFN, and you really only have like 2 or 3 stations that you can watch, and everything else is in like Italian or everything, whatever country you're in. So we always got like Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, Dallas Cowboys, Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football wasn't really like a big thing back then in like the mid 90s. So it was always Monday Night Football. So you were like exposed to like the Jets, Giants, Dolphins, all that kind of stuff. Right. And so, back then I was more like a player fan, right? So your Emmitt Smiths, your Thurman Thomases, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, all those guys that you're seeing on the highlights and everything else like that. So he sat us down and was like, "Hey, so we're going to a place. They've got a football team, and here's the 3 hats." So we had the 3 hats down. It was Dallas, it was a Miami, and it was a Jacksonville Jaguar hat. And I was just like, man, in like 3rd or 4th grade, you're like, shit, that's pretty cool to do. Oh, sorry, can my bad.
You're fine. No, you're good, man. You're fine. You're fine.
They're like, dude, it's a Jaguar. Like, man, this is kind of cool. So I picked that. And then ever since then, that was in like 95. And ever since then, man, it's just been, something that we followed, coming back here in Jacksonville. I was born here, moved to Italy. He moved back. My dad, his first like major duty station was at NAS Mayport. So they're from the Midwest. So that kind of ties into a little bit of the barbecue as well. So they're from the Midwest. So, it was just natural, man, for us to get back and just be, full steam ahead. And we've been on board with the Jags, since 95, 96.
That's awesome. And then, so when did you become when was your first season as a season ticket holder, and then how did that transition into the whole tailgating experience?
Yeah. So my first actual, and it's like crazy not even thinking about it because I have kids and I would never let them do this, but like when I was 16, me and my friends were just hopping in a S10 pickup, sitting 3 across and going to the games, man, and like paying for like a $10 parking, like all the way like 2 miles away from the stadium, and bringing like a little Weber, like a little camping Weber, right? And so at the time, we're all working, like 2 of my friends, Joey and I, he worked at McDonald's with me, and then we had another friend that worked at Domino's. So we were either tailgating, like just bringing over the leftover food from the night before, because we're 16, stomachs like a garbage disposal, we can eat whatever. So we're doing that, and then we park about a mile and a half away, sitting in the nosebleeds, man. And so we're starting, like, one time, we want to make some burgers, hot dogs, go to Publix, get everything we need, forget lighter fluid. So we take Curve, the cologne. We spray Curve on the briquettes to get it started. They were the worst burgers ever, but it was. We tried to let it burn off, but we're all still standing right now. So that was 2 years ago, so we're all good now. But so I've had season tickets on and off, since I was about 16 or 17 and going to the games. But I think, taking it pretty seriously the last like 6 or 7 years was actually having, really good seats and things like that. So I've always been on, and getting into the tailgate, man, as you're walking, in Jacksonville, anyone that's ever been in the stadium, it's a tremendous tailgate scene. Like, I don't think we get enough credit, at least as far as the NFL goes, because we are a small market team, but the tailgating scene is pretty legit, just because it's spread out. And the way that our stadium is set up downtown, there's a ton of like just space around it, right? So most of the NFL cities that I've been to, most of their stadiums are like downtown, right? And so there's not a lot of area to where you can, set up a Traeger or set up a Weber or anything else like that. You got to, pregame at the bars and then, kind of go into there and a lot of chain places, right? So us walking past these awesome tailgates, man, we're just like, we're going to get there one day. And it's just one of those things of us just being diehard fans. And now, 20 years later, we park right outside of the stadium. When we're usually there around 7:38 for a 1 p.m. kickoff here in Jacksonville. So you're sweating legitimately as soon as you get out. And then we curate a menu every year based off of the opponents, based off of who was hungover the night before, where this going to be, or if it's just going to be burgers, this time or anything else like that. So yeah, we do a pretty good job, man, and it's a pretty awesome, thing for me to be able to share with my friends, for me to bring more people together. We've had folks that have come from, and like literally, man, like we had one guy come from Seattle. He Jags fan in Seattle, looking for a place to tailgate. Dude, come on by. I think that day we were doing like tri-tip. I think we were doing tri-tip sandwiches because I think we were playing. I think we were playing the Raiders when they were here. So like we try to really say like, and this is before tri-tip was like the cool thing to cook, right? So now it's like you used to be able to get a tri-tip, for like $7-8. Now they're ridiculous price right now.
$7-8 a pound.
Yeah, right. So you used to be able to get it back then when nobody wanted it. It was like, and it's a regional, California, kind of cut. So we were doing that, and he came over and was just like, yeah, man, this is awesome. So we pretty much, depending on whoever we play, man, we've done, like a full KC style barbecue where I'll go and get like Arthur Bryant or any of that kind of sauce from Kansas City. I got an aunt that lives there, so she'll send me some stuff down. When we play Houston here since they are our AFC South opponent, so we'll do more of like a Tex-Mex style, churrasco kind of like barbecue or anything else like that. And then when we play teams, from the Northwest or excuse me, from the North. For example, like we got the Vikings coming up this year, so we're going to do Juicy Lucy's. So those burgers where they got the cheese in the middle, and then you put another burger and make something crazy, right? So we really try to regionally kind of see what's good and what's popular there, and bring it together as a tailgate. It's kind of like us like eating our enemy, but it doesn't really work out like Jags being
right,
man. That sounds so amazing. I've only gone into like we have, like Jesse said in the intro, we have the University of Utah, and they have an amazing tailgating lot. I haven't partaked in that too much. I'm kind of still salty that I let my season tickets go for the University of Utah. I should have never let those release. But I want to get back in the University of Utah's tailgating scene again, and partake in that season tickets. But
we used to do a ton of tailgating over Weber State when the Contribus Automotive team was sponsoring it, and I'd cook. We'd cook because I'd take some of my big pits up there, and we'd be cooking. We'd have brisket, we'd have pulled pork because I'd be cooking all night before we took it up there, and man, it was so much fun having all the people come around and because if you got a big pit, it's a like a magnet for all the fans to come hang out and see what's happening. What's on the pit today? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing too is like, you know, my wife. So this is how she earns her season ticket. So I take my Traeger, my Pro 780. I take my Pro 780 every game. And so like Saturday night, she's there lifting it up with me in the truck. And like on our doorbell camera, like we could probably have like literally 2 hours of footage of us arguing about like lifting you know, talking smack to each other and everything else like that. But, you know, that what you just said, Jesse, like just bringing it. And there's nothing like, you know, when you get there, man, and that first initial smoke on any pit, right? Like when it's like a magnet, it draws people in, and more people are just like in, you know, they just can't believe that I brought, you know, a smoker like that, you know, a big smoker out here. And then they're like, man, those are expensive. I was like, bro, this is at the end of the day, it's still a grill. Like, you know, this is made for it. And, you know, and it's made to be out in the elements. It's made to, you know, to do that. And then also, you know, the ease of it, man, we can go here and, you know, do a couple shots and I don't have to worry about like the temp, like, you know, getting away from me. You know, if it's a long cook, depending on what we're done, you know, I'll take, you know, brisket or ribs or something like that. I've made ribs there. You know, also, but a brisket, you know, I'll cook it the night before, put it in the Cambro, you know, then we get on out there and then really just warm up the sides or what Anthony calls the ancillaries. That's a new term that I learned. I've been trying to roll into my vocab, you know. But yeah, no, it's cool.
So how do you power up your Traeger when you're out on location? You using a solar power, like a solar generator, I use Lion Energy has some great batteries, and I can run 2 GMG Peaks on it, light them separately, and it'll run both pits for, you know, up to 8 hours.
Yeah. So I mean, here in Jax, you know, you got to be hurricane ready. So I got a gas powered generator. You know,
gotcha.
It's big, but I got it on sale at Costco. It was like an open box item. So in like hindsight, it was a good sale, but it's heavy. So, you know, it's everything else like that too. So I'm not worried about it. But, you know, we bring a generator, and then usually the generator is a pretty good source of power because we have a DJ that comes to the tailgate as well. So he'll plug in. So we've got like this kind of like power station kind of beside where nobody walks through and can trip over cords and everything else like that. And then that pretty much, you know, kind of funnels it. We've got, you know, lights and everything. So when we do have night games, you know, we've got those construction lights that we have out there and everything else like that. So yeah, we do it pretty big, man.
Yeah, this year I've been I guess at the end of last season and this season going to the RSL games. We've been tailgating and stuff like that, and it's awesome that you have a solid group of friends that show up every week, right? You know, you just have a group text saying, hey, this is what we're cooking. Everybody bring this and bring that to bring it together. And then it's also the opportunities of making new friendships. Hey, we got a ton of food left over. Hey, bro, you hungry? Come on over, you know, and then feed that person, and then you get to know them, and then it kind of just slowly builds up your group, and then suddenly you have a larger group that started off with maybe 4 people to 10 to 20, and as the seasons grow, it just becomes a big event, and you almost look forward to it, like the next game, like, hey, this is my Jacksonville Jaguar family, you know, we all have something in common. RSL, we all have, you know, we can get together, talk about the players, talk about who messed up the week before, who's improving, you know. It's a great opportunity just to socialize. Like Jesse said 100 times on this podcast, food brings people together, man. You know, it just
well,
it really does.
And having the DJ out there is even cooler because I bring a sound system to every competition because I've always played the national anthem on Saturday morning at 9/11, and then drop some music and just have some music in the background. Music brings food and music. They all go together. It's awesome.
For sure.
I love that you have a DJ.
I love the communal, you know, the whole communal aspect of just not even just with like, you know, tailgating, but like Sunday dinners, man. Like I think that, you know, us as like a society, we got to get back to just communal, you know, just eating, you know, and communal things. And it's pretty big on my family too, because I read this stat like that. I think like only 30% of like American families like sit down and eat dinner together. And like, to me, that's like insane because, you know, growing up, like when parents got off from dinner and everything else like that, you set the table, you turn the TV off or whatever, you just talked about your day, you know, and it was like blew my mind that only 30% of this, you know, this generation coming up get to experience that. And that's like really where you learn. Like for me, that was when I learned, you know, how to like cook. My mom, she was a sous chef at TPC Sawgrass when we moved back here, you know, in Jacksonville. My dad,
I love the TPC at Sawgrass. I love that golf course.
It's insane, man. So my dad, him from being from the Midwest, I learned how to cook was a pork steak. And pork steak, not a pork chop, a pork steak.
Steak,
that right off that Boston butt.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
right off that butt. Yeah.
Oh, that pork steak is some good eating, man. And then on top of that, it's like, you really just see, what you learn about traditions, you learn about like different cooking styles and all of that stuff. And all that kind of tribal knowledge is passed down through communal like eating, you know what I mean? So when people always ask me like, how'd you learn how to cook this, this Boston butt, or how'd you learn how to, do these ribs this way? Or I've never seen anyone, take boudin and, stuff it in a gator tail. Like, what'd you learn about that? And it's like, dude, like, my mom, has all the recipes, and like, your elders and your family, they have them. And, the more you sit down and more you have the communal, kind of aspect of it, that's how, recipes and things like that are kind of passed down. But back to that pork steak, man, a good pork steak, man, you can't beat that.
Right. And they're hard. They're not hard to find. You just got to ask the butcher to cut the steak for you. It's you can literally do it yourself at home. You just go to Costco, get you a pork butt, slice it, sear it. Do the whole nine.
That's what made Tootsie famous at Snow's, was the pork steak.
Yeah.
Right,
I haven't been to Snow's barbecue yet. But watching like a couple of the documentaries on her, it's just like, bro, you literally taking an undesirable cut and making it world famous, right? Like a pork steak. No one even knows how to go even ask for that, or know where it even comes from. And that's the one thing too that's about barbecue that's really cool. It's just like seeing the trend of like different cuts and how they're coming into the light. And then people are like, we've been eating that forever. And like right now, like oxtails, like, bro, oxtails in the African-American community, oxtails, bro, we've been eating oxtails for years.
Forever.
And like, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you will not believe that like people are eating oxtails on pizza. And she was like, what? Like oxtail. I was like, Mom, oxtail pizza, oxtail egg rolls. And so she's just like, this is insane, because it used to be, a undesired, cut of meat. And we literally eat it on Sunday dinners. You throw it in, the pot, get it ready with your collard greens and your turkey necks and everything else like that. And then, that's what we're eating. But now oxtails, it's like, it's insane. Like the price of oxtails right now.
Right.
Yeah. People have been posting. Go ahead.
I got turned on oxtail about 15 years ago, maybe, in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Oh man, Jamaica. They had like 4 or 5 different flavors. They had jerk oxtail, they had the spicy oxtail. I was like, it was like a buffet, and I was like, I went back for those. I was like, dang, I never had these, but these are bomb.
Yeah,
and ever since then, and then like you said,
people have been hitting up all over social media. Where do you find oxtails? And it's like you just gotta get to the right butcher and ask that butcher for it. What's the name of the place down south in Draper? Is it Les's that makes killer oxtail? Les's.
Yeah, and he had his Atlanta shop too as well.
Yeah, Les.
Very cool.
He was up. He just opened a store in Utah, but when I was there, man, it was just too far. The Uber was just too far for me to get there, because when you come in, you don't really have any transportation. But I wanted to try, and Les is killing it, man. With at least just bringing oxtails and bringing up. He's probably solely the one that's driving up the prices for him, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, for sure.
Yeah, it's like oxtails and beef shank. I mean, that's the other thing. Is like even beef shank. You see people doing Thor's hammers now, and that's a lot of people get a cow, and they just have all that stuff goes to ground beef, and now everybody's like, okay, I want some shanks in there. Put some beef shanks in my mix for my cow, and it's awesome using some of those non-traditional cuts.
For sure. So, John, we talked a little bit here when you're in Salt Lake. You messed around in a little bit of the competition side, but then you came over to an SEA event. Tell us what you thought about the SEA event, and then let's talk about your competition and maybe elevating it and maybe going that route.
Yeah. So the SEA, I kind of used you, man, to get some more like ground research on one of these, because I've done a couple of competitions before, right? And so here in Jacksonville, it's not like we've got SEA events and things like that. So I'd never really been to one. So when we met the night before at the Traeger party, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take him up on it because I'm an early riser anyway. So let me just go down and see what see what it's about. And it was definitely some knowledge that I needed to take and bring into my own competition experience, because I think that's naturally where I want to head to, because I am a competitor, within heart. Like if we were literally in the same room and you're like, man, I can throw this quarter against the wall closer to you. I'm like, no, you can't. And, so I'm like that competitive when it comes to it. And so when it comes to, the competitive cooking, I think the thing that interests me the most is, the knowing what the judges want, and then, everyone taking different routes and different vessels to get to that end product. So when we were at the SCA, man, it was Traegers, there were Pit Bosses, there were Oklahoma Joes. There are so many different, cooks. And then, Anthony, when you pulled out that little, what was the oven that you used?
The C4?
Yeah,
C4.
I was like, there's no way. I was like, this is wild. This dude is cooking. I was like, where is it? And he's just like, nah, man. It was the funniest, but the coolest thing that I've ever seen, because I just love how like laissez-faire you were about it. And you're just like, bro, I'm going to smoke these guys. Like, I'm not even worried about it. And then just really just showing me, the process behind it. Your absolute, just the timing, the method behind it. I mean, it was just like watching a mad scientist go to work, and it was cool. And then like just watching you make and talking about the steak selection and everything and all the things that go into it, man. I was just taking some notes on my phone. It's just like, bro, if you really want to get into this competition shit, like you got to really go full like balls to the wall to it, because, any details or anything else like that are missed, someone's going to catch it. And like, you got to make sure you come correct with every steak that you decide to cook and everything that you decide to put on that grill and what you want to put in your turn-in box. It's got to be meticulous. And that was one of the pieces that I was missing from my game in a couple of competitions that I've done, because, here in Jax, like, I've done a couple like mom and pop rib competitions, and the judges are folks that have been like drinking like 6 pitchers of beer before, they're ready to eat. And it's kind of like, whichever one tastes the best, it's like, what are they judging on? We don't know what they're judging on. All you got to do is just make sure that you trim and cook your ribs here on site. That's it. And it's like, all right, well, you're not judging on anything else? No. You're not judging on appearance? No. All right, cool. So let me just go ahead and throw some. So I've been able to kind of get that low hanging fruit, because I can make a rib better than the average Joe, I think, in my opinion, but then when it came down to, like learning and see what you guys do in the barbecue world, like these trained, like culinary professionals, like, let's just call it what it is. Like, it's literally a trained culinary professional that's judging on every piece. And I think, Anthony, when you were telling me, man, about the spinalis, how you cut the ribeye cap, or how you cut the cap and then like glued it back together with the Moo glue and did everything. I was just, I'm not giving away any of your secrets or anything else like
all
that.
Good, man.
But bro, just looking at that, and then like seeing it all come together, and then that bite, bro, me and Sean were still talking about that 2 weeks ago. We were literally like, bro, that steak was insane. And I made a steak for my wife, and I was eating it, and I was like, this ain't shit.
It's not the same. It's not the same. It is not the same.
It is not the same, for sure. Yeah. No, but for real, like, just from you coming to the competition, one, it was awesome. We got to hang out, got to talk to each other, learn a little bit more about each other and just personal life stuff, But when those other ancillaries, because I didn't cook any ancillaries this weekend, I normally don't, or that weekend, I normally don't, but when the ancillaries started coming, people like to bring them over to me and I give them my honest feedback. But John and Sean were both there, and I was like, yo, give these guys some, because this is their first experience, and they're tasting them. And as people were giving them stuff, they're like, damn, this is good. This is really good. And then suddenly you see that one dash that hit them, and they're like, oh, this is elevated.
This is it.
This is it. And them to being able to, like, understand, wow, there's a difference between this is good versus like this is the best, this is going to win. And statistically that does happen in the judges' tent as well.
Yeah, I think when the results came out, we were kind of going back and forth, and you were kind of sharing like who won ancillaries and things like that. And I don't recall the results, but I know that whenever the ones that we tried and you pointed out, they were still pretty high. But then you could also see like where other folks were, and like, okay, like this is where it was right now, and that difference from like, yeah, this is pretty good, to when you get something that just makes you like, when you taste something and you keep tasting it. I know that's a weird like thing to say, but you taste something initially, and then once it hits your palate, it hits the different, regions of your tongue, and then you still keep tasting other bits of the dish. Like, that's how you got to win it right there.
Yeah, Jesse, he had the opportunity to taste some of the stuff that came out of Christina's trailer. So,
very
he
well.
got to taste some of the best of the best.
Yeah, that's one of my sponsored teams. They were just in Wyoming cooking this past yesterday. So,
oh man, and and if they are listening, I love the hospitality. I appreciate the hospitality and everything. But that lady Christina, bro, she is a badass. That lady is really a stone cold killer amongst people, like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like that lady she is insane, man. She's legit.
She's very competitive, man. She is. She wants to win big time. So,
right. And it was cool, man, because that the same day we had the Traeger event, that's why John was out there. I wasn't able to go to awards, but I was able to watch my phone and just communicate let him know what's going on. Hey, yo, remember you had this? Well, she just took second place on this, But then when the word came in, I think it was you, Sean, and a couple other people, and I was like, yo, it just happened. I just won my golden ticket. It was just awesome how everybody went bananas. It was cool.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, because I think at the end of the day, we're all just, for you to share, your craft, because one of the things that I've learned, and again, I wouldn't even say I'm in the infancy stage of my barbecuing competition journey. I've got maybe 6 competitions under my belt. 2 first place, 2 second places, and a couple of third place finishes. Not to brag, but I'm trying to catch up to you, Jesse. But
just keep cooking, baby. Just keep cooking.
People don't share tribal knowledge, right? When you get into the barbecue world and some of the things that I've experienced, bro, it's just people are cooking behind a black curtain, and then they just voila, here it is. You know what I mean? But for Anthony, for you to lend some of your expertise, and Jesse, for you to lend your expertise as well on this type of podcast, this type of format, if people are actually listening to it, they'll be really, they'll be able to elevate their cooking in general. So Anthony, when you were telling me about the how to cook chicken thighs, right? I make those chicken thighs now on the daily for my kids, and the way that I run things out is I'll test it on them. If they'll eat it, I know it's good, right? And so kids are the pickiest eaters on earth. So being able to kind of get that crispy skin on the chicken thighs, and being able to kind of do a couple of different things. I run all my practice cooks by them, and so I think that the appreciation of you sharing that tribal knowledge, and then you sharing the tribal knowledge of what you did, and then being able to show hey, this is the recipe, this is the blueprint of how you do it, and you shared it, and for you to share it with just 2 just guys that you met 24 hours before, sharing that knowledge, man, I think that's big, and we appreciate it.
Of course, man. And I know Jesse felt the same way. Barbecue is a community thing. You want to teach the next person on how to do it. Like we said before, I can show you exactly how to do it, John, but can you execute it, on the competition level? It's just that tea.
That's what Johnny Trigg said, because Johnny Trigg taught some classes out here when we used to do the Windover barbecue event. He's like, I'm going to tell you everything that I do in competition. He goes, but then you got to outcook me, and you ain't going to outcook me, he said. So that was awesome. And I know Anthony teaches from time to time, and we teach a lot of classes at my shop. And the biggest thing we're trying to do is help people make better food, make better barbecue. And I know Anthony leaves a few pieces out because he's kind of hold those close to his chest. So, but people like there's the last competition I went to, there wasn't a lot of black tents up where everybody had their walls up. Everybody was out in the open, and you could see what people were doing if you're paying attention. But there's a lot of shigging going on, So,
well, I personally don't think shigging's a thing anymore. I think just with so many online classes and the opportunities for people to learn is just this. Yeah, you can jump online, Barbecue Champs Academy, and learn anything, with their.
Oh yeah, that's a great resource.
But these people that are just barely getting into it, they didn't really have to go through the struggle of learning a recipe and being able to execute it. They can just watch a class and repeat it, and watch that class after they pay for it, and be able to get that down. Which when Jesse and I, Jesse more because he started before I did, but you had to keep those rubs in secret. You had to have the black tent, because if anybody knew about that one rub that you just found and you do good, everybody's going to jump on board, and that takes you away. But now the opportunities out there, you can just type in YouTube competition brisket, and you can find hundreds of videos, and you can.
Yeah, there was a YouTube around when I started.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think the learning curve has been cut tremendously, but it's just the execution part. Yeah. Just
And
being
I
able
think
to execute that.
to say that too, man, because like, so the last rib competition I did, so I did a competition in March, like right before the Traeger thing. And so it was really, it was funny to see because it was a mixture of like, you know, backyard, semi-pro and everything else like that. And then you could really like see people had this plan of what they were going to execute until we got the ribs and they were like, you got to trim them. And you see some people were just kind of like, you got to trim them. And, you know, it's just like, oh, yeah, you got to trim them. And then so, you know, you see some people like looking over and everything else like that. And so I was telling one of the guys that was next to me, I was like, look, man, like, you look like you're new to trimming and everything else like this. I was like, look, what you need to do, take the silver skin off the back, trim it up, just square, just make a square, get these two bones right here. This is all, get these out of the way. And I was like, you'll be good. And so he was really good about that. But, you know, I didn't tell him about, you know, squaring it up to make it into a St. Louis style or anything, because, you know, you still want to win, but at least you want to try to, you know, gather somebody up a little bit more. And I'll tell you, like, on the execution part, when you're talking about, like, you know, going online, everyone now like wraps with butter, brown sugar, and, you know, wraps it in foil. Everybody wraps their ribs now in that method. Like, that is now, that's, everyone does that now, right? So that method of tenderizing and kind of like almost braising them in that liquid, because that's what you're kind of doing, is braising them in that once it goes down and you get that salt, that tenderized piece of it. Now you got to kind of get, you know, more creative on how you're going to tenderize and how you're going to set yourself apart. So, you know, in that competition, I didn't wrap any ribs. I didn't do anything. I said, you know what, I'm going to put them on. I'm going to spritz, you know, every now and then, you know, try to get that flavor kind of built in and get that bark built up there. And I just went with a traditional, you know, kind of salt, pepper, you know, garlic type rib, you know, something that was going to stand out from all the sweet stuff that everybody was cooking with. And then no sauce. So I, you know, I set my Traeger, you know, to I think like 275, like 275. I felt like it was a sweet spot to where I can cook them, you know, at a good pace, but then also still get some of that smoke flavor, you know, in there as well. And then it was just more of like a spritz and heavy seasoning to, you know, kind of build that bark, since I wasn't going to be wrapping them. And when they came out, man, that smoke ring was just, bro, it was just absolutely beautiful. You know, cut right down the middle, you know, easy cut, how you want to look. And then it becomes the presentation part. And I think that's where you can kind of, you know, set yourself apart from everybody else, because they're just stacking them in the box. And I'm placing my box off of what I've seen, what you've done, what Malcolm Reed has done, what Heath has done as well, just seeing what they do, you know, as far as a presentation. And that's the only way you can really set yourself apart, because if everyone's already wrapping with all the same ingredients, everyone's got Blues Hog, everyone's got Kendrick Barbecue's rubs, everyone's got Malcolm's rubs, everyone's got, you know, all the stuff that you can go to Academy and get right now. So now it's like you got to separate yourself by making something a little bit different from what everybody else is going to be cooking with.
That's so true, because yeah, what is it, the saying? If you ain't using Blues Hog, you're lying, right? That's pretty much
right.
Oh, I don't use Blues Hog. Bullshit, you're lying, because everybody uses Blues Hog. You know, it's just a matter of just making that tweak. And then Jesse's the best to vouch for this. Yeah, when it comes to competition, you don't want anything out of the box too crazy. You don't want anything that's just you want to hit the best mid level, I guess, mid barbecue,
the best average barbecue that you can make. Your tenderness is what you got to be on point. Then the flavor profile comes in where most of your points have come from, but it has to be the perfect tenderness. Yeah, that's what you got to get. That's the hardest part of barbecue. So
not doing anything too crazy, because I think, like, you know, a lot of people try to do different stuff to kind of set them out of the box, and they start running up with different flavor profiles that don't mix. It could be either too acidic, could be too salty, and, you know, you're trying to like do something different to separate yourself by, you know, adding these little different elements. But a lot of people don't realize is that food is an actual science. It's a science experiment. You start mixing acids and bases and things like that together. Like, if they don't mix very well, it's not going to taste good. You know, so the only thing you can really go with, and a lot of people at that last competition, you know, salt, pepper, garlic, they're like, no way. And I'm like, I'm telling you, literally, look at this tent. I have no sauce with me right now. I have literally no seasonings. It's salt, pepper, garlic, and then, you know, this is what we're going with, and just making a good tenderized product. So the way that you overcome all the extra jazz is just with consistency. If you do the same thing, I think the saying is like a pro practices like until an amateur practices till they get it right. A pro practices till they can't get it wrong. And then it's like if you just keep going with the consistency, that's it. And the same thing, man. Like I ran before the Traeger competition. I did a backyard cook. I entered as brisket, right? So I cooked a bunch of briskets like on the way, trying to practice and get everything going. And then I had a couple of like mishaps, at least in the competition, right? Where it wasn't just like, I would say that as far as couldn't get the generator ran, couldn't get, a lot of stuff just going. And I just walked away and was like, you know what, man, I'm here. It's going to take care of itself. Got everything fired up. I didn't have any time to do anything crazy. So luckily I had everything trimmed, and I made 6 briskets on 2 pits. And I was like, look, you know what? This is going to be like, I was not happy with the product at all that I put out there. My wife was like, yo, this is the best brisket. I'm like, you're just saying that, you're hyping me up. And people kept coming by the tents because you had to make 1 brisket. I mean, I ended up running 6. And I think 4 of them were like samplers for like crowd, for fan favorite or whatever. And then I reserved 1 to trim and then actually give to the judges. And the one that I trimmed, man, like I got everything, the lean, the fatty pieces were insane. The burnt ends that I was able to get off on the back of the point were insane. And I was like, look, at least it looks good, but to me, I was like, man, it's good, but we'll see what comes out. And dude, first place. And I could not even, and then first place. And then some people thought that I was like a semi-pro. And like, dude, look, I've got a truck, a Silverado 1500 here. I have a 9-to-5. Like, I don't do this for money. I got money today, but this is literally just a hobby. And this is just something that I'm trying to work myself into and try to get more into competition cooking, because I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a cool hobby to have. I mean, you turn 30 plus, you either start watching World War II documentaries or you become you get into barbecue. So I'd rather take that part.
Yeah. And I think key having a partner, a wife, husband, girlfriend that can be completely honest with you can help you elevate your barbecue as well. I have Amanda, she'll taste my steak and she'll be like, that's off. She's a certified judge, but just her being honest with me, just saying, hey, that's just not quite, you need something else to it. Yeah. And being able to let your wife know, hey, your wife told you, hey, this is the best brisket she's ever had. She was being honest with you, and it actually showed, and having a person to hype you is one thing, but having a person that's hyping you and being honest actually really does help you a lot. So even a friend that comes over and hangs out, just say, don't bullshit me because I'm giving you good barbecue. Tell me the truth. Yeah. What don't you like about it? What do you like about it will help elevate you for sure.
It's particularly good because my wife, she's not a big like meat eater, right? So she'll eat like she'll eat a steak every now and then or anything. But like for her, she like when we go like tailgating or we have people over, they're like, oh my God, how you stay so fit, with him making barbecue and blah, blah. She's like, I don't eat barbecue. She's like, I don't like that. She's like, I hate it. I hate when he makes barbecue. But then when I'm it's a competition time or something like that, because she has that fresh palate and she's not usually, her palate isn't, exhausted with barbecue. She can really be able to tell me like spot on, like, these are good. These wings are good. What'd you do different here? And things like that, and really kind of keep me honest with it. And she'll eat it and she's like, oh, that's dog shit. Like, you should not throw that out to anybody. Like, you need to start over. So, having somebody that's going to really be able to give you that honest feedback is good. I had a quick question for y'all really quick, like just talking about the technology, that's come along within barbecue right now. So, I was looking at the research with, the probe that the radio frequency probe that you guys got now, right now, and then just like the technological advances within barbecue, like what would you say has kind of fueled that, like as we're like going forward? Because I show people, I have, my Traeger, it runs off Bluetooth and people are just like completely mind blown. I'm like, bro, this is Neanderthal right now compared to what is out there from a tech perspective. So what do you think has kind of driven that into this tech, barbecue kind of crossover?
Well, personally, because I deal with this every day, is as long as you have fire and meat, you want to make sure it's done right. You want to make sure it's done to perfection, and that it's done perfect every single time. And being able to execute that every single time is huge. Like, let's just take for a steak. When you're growing up, Jesse, all of us were growing up, our parents cooked a steak on a grill and you didn't know if you were to get medium, rare, or, extra done, right? So being able to really dial in, I can go to Harmon's, pick up a steak, bring it home, put in my probes, cook it to the perfect temperature every single time. I think that's what's driving the technology and being able to dial it down even more. ThermoWorks has brought it from our leave-in probes at a 1.9 to a 0.9 with the wireless system, so being able to dial that even more, saying I'm going to cook this steak every single time to 135. We're going to carry it over to 142. I'm going to cut it open. And it's going to look exactly the same every single time. So I think that's why the technology is huge on being able to execute in cooking, is to make sure that you can have the exact same results every time. And even, for the common customer that's never cooked a steak, you can talk to them about it, say, use this product, cook it to this temperature, and you're going to get this result. And being able to have that technology to help the first person do that is awesome. Traegers coming out with some amazing, the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth enabled smokers. They have a probe that they can leave in. It's going to get that person to that brisket that they set they're to 205. They're going to have that brisket come out to 205. And then it's going to be the exact same result every single time. GMG is going Wi-Fi as well. They're coming out with some cool stuff too. I think technology is driving to making sure that you get the exact same results every time. It's just that simple.
I think it's really all the technologies out there they're helping the home cook, the king of the cul-de-sac. It's helping them get their product done to the proper doneness, and the faster you can get people's mind away from time and move it into temperature. It's like, how long is it going to take? I'm like, I don't know. I've cooked 2 briskets side by side, and one took 3 hours longer than the other one. So and they were the exact same size. So if you get people to understand, okay, let's work on your temperature. So at what temperature are you wrapping your product? What temperature are you taking it to finish it? Then grab your ThermaPen 1 and start feeling it and getting your temperatures as well. And as soon as you start getting people understanding, okay, I got to get rid of time. We're going all straight temperature. And then when we get to a certain level, we have to start feeling what the meat has done in that smoker to feel the difference. And then, like a lot of the technology that ThermoWorks comes out with as well, outside of a pellet cooker, it's like the billows, controlling your temperature to the nth degree. And on I put a billows on my Assassin. It doesn't move 1 degree when it's up and running. And then having all the signals now on your phone, when you sit back in your zero gravity chair and go, okay, what's my brisket doing? All right. Has it hit that secondary stall yet, or is it not? Oh, okay. Let's check it. Set the timer for 5 more minutes. Keep looking at it. And it's just a huge help for people to help manage their fire, know what temperature they are at, what temperature they need to get to, and then start feeling it. I think technology's came a long way, and all the grill manufacturers out there have stepped up their game in the last 8 years with really good Wi-Fi, really good probes, and everything going wireless now. Yeah, man, you should have. I looked like back in the day. I looked like I had an operating patient on my smoke, because there's wires everywhere. So.
Right. Yeah, but the thing too is, you got to be careful too. Obviously, I'm promoting ThermoWorks. It's the company I work for, and it's a great product. But
it's the top of the food chain when it comes to those products. They make amazing products.
Yeah, but you also got to stay away from the gimmick stuff too. I know there's other companies that have adaptive cooking. That says follow our app. You're cooking a pork butt. You're gonna put your probe in, and then it's gonna tell you when it's done. It has this whole graph and everything like that, and it's not the greatest technology. You want a company that's just focused in on temperature. It doesn't matter who it is. We want you to use ThermoWorks products, but when you're making your decision on the technology, make sure that it doesn't have all these bells and whistles and gimmicks. You want to know your true temperature. That's what it breaks down to. All the other stuff out aside, true temperature is going to give you the exact same result every time.
Yeah, so that's what you were saying earlier about being consistent. Like, focus on one thing and do it right.
Yeah,
and being
exactly.
In that point. Agree.
Yeah, you don't need all this stuff. Like I got frustrated the other day with my Innova cooker. They updated their app. I was like, it wants me to put in what I'm cooking and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I just want to set my temperature and that's what I want to cook to. It was kind of frustrating that companies are going that way. And I'm just like, no, I want to cook to temperature. I don't want to cook to your duck recipe to this temperature and have me put my information in. And, no, I just want the most accurate temperature that I want to be able to get. So,
even with me selling pits at my store, and the pit that you're cooking on, I was on the design team to help design that Traeger back in the day.
Yeah,
I have yet to set up my Wi-Fi on any of my Traegers, any of my GMGs.
Yeah,
I just run it off the temperature the pit's running on, and then have an internal probe that make sure your thermocoupler on your smoker is giving you accurate temperatures. And then cooking it at that level, and then getting all your doneness to the proper temperature, proper doneness, proper fill. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
definitely. And just I think the key thing, like with Jesse, you can go into Jesse's shop, say, I'm here on a small budget. I don't have a lot of money. I want this grill. He doesn't sell them, but just that Weber kettle. And he should be able to tell you, hey, you need a good thermometer to be able to a leave-in probe that you can leave in the smoker, so your temperature, your ambient temperature, and then a good thermopin. Really, it doesn't matter. Go on Facebook Marketplace, go get a janky looking free smoker out there that can get you started, but just invest in your temperature readings. That's where you should spend your money, because if you overcook a Snake River Farms Gold brisket or undercook it, you're out of money. But you can spend the money on good thermal technology to be able to make sure that it's going to come out perfect every time. So it doesn't matter. Fired meat, that can come from anywhere, but being able to make sure you have the right temperature of that product is going to be key to have that best result.
Yeah, because so many people are cooking on drums back now. It's like it's been a wave. It's like I started on drums in competition, moved to a pits and spits offset, and then moved to pellet cookers so I could get some sleep. But now everybody's running hot and fast, and they're like, guys are running all drums out there, and a lot of people aren't running the bellows technology, which I don't know why they wouldn't run a bellows just to make it really easy to. It just set it and forget it. But some of these drums, when you dial them in, they just sit and run, and then you just make sure your meat's done to the proper temperature.
Exactly. Yeah. The technology out there is like the bellows. It pretty much turns your drum smoker, your charcoal live fire, into like a Traeger. You just set the temperature and simple. I've never taken anything away from Traeger. I'll go out there and fire that up today, but I feel like that just a little bit of, grease over charcoal just gives that a little bit extra layer of flavor.
But I love charcoal grill, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's the one thing. Again, no knock on Traeger or anything else like that, but I mean, sometimes, man, you just can't, for me, I think if I do decide to get another one, and it's probably won't be too heavy to kind of transport back and forth, but a ceramic cooker, like a Kamado Joe or something like that, man, or a green egg, like those intrigue me so much. And my neighbor, so in the cul-de-sac that I live in, it's literally like the most Americana, type of cul-de-sac that you live in, right? You got dads that are out cutting their grass every day. And my neighbor across the street, he uses a drum smoker. I use a Traeger. Another guy uses a Weber. Another guy uses a Kamado Joe, right? And so it's just really just seeing the technology and seeing what everything cooks, but then the flavor profile, like that charcoal flavor, you can't really, that's what people really like, right? When they say they want something smoked, they like the actual charcoal flavor or the smoke that's going into it within the wood and things like that you're using. So I think that sometimes, man, some of those other vessels that you guys are talking about, they create just an unbelievable flavor profile. But again, that's you got to get up to that level, right? You're not going to buy a Kamado Joe and not use one before and crank out, a steak that's going to be insane because you don't know the temperature regulation or anything else like that. So I think, a lot of the times when people really need to focus on what you said, like the temperature and the internal temp too, because then you cook some undercooked meat, someone gets sick, never come back to your house, eat ever again.
Right. Nope. Yeah. Well, John, I'm telling you this right now. We'll get you a billow set up, that for a drum smoker, and you can take that drum smoker to your tailgate, you know, and there's no more arguing with the wife because you can lift it by yourself and put it in your truck.
Bro, see, and it's like funniest things like, you do this every season. You know what time it is. Get in the back of the truck and help me lift it and go in the house, and it'll all be good. But it's always something that's like, you know, do I need to lift the cooler? No, baby, I got the cooler, just the grill. I don't want to lift the grill. How are we gonna eat? You know, so just
man, get you a drum smoker out there as well too. You know, you'll cut half the drum off.
There's some amazing drums out there, whether you go with a Cotton Gin or a Gateway or a Hunsaker. Yeah. Like they're all cook a little bit differently, but once you get them dialed in, it's super easy. So plus, like you said,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just easier to get in the back of your truck. Is all I was gonna say.
So when I went to Kansas City for the playoff, I went to the Jags played Kansas City in the playoffs. I think it was like 2 years ago now. But you know, just the drum smokers, the amount of, I mean, that's the mecca of barbecue, right? You know, depending on who you talk to me, like Kansas City, hands down, is, you know, where it happens. I mean, you've got the Kansas City Barbecue Society, right? I don't know of any other city that has a barbecue society named after them, but everyone was using drums. I saw a couple Traegers and things like that, but then some of the things that these guys have welded together and put on the back of like ambulances, like that's like the next thing that I want to get up to. Like I want to be able to create this Ghostbusters style, like, you know, car that's dedicated to tailgating and barbecue, or this, like, you know, I'm dating myself, but like the Ninja Turtles, how they had Shell Shock, that little minivan, like just built to just only for just barbecuing and, you know, barbecue competitions and things like that. I think that's like the next route that I'm going to try to take on.
Bro, you just need to figure out how to take your Traeger and stick it inside of a shape of a Jaguar.
Oh my God.
There you go. Then that's what you need to do.
I think Rydell partnered with Weber like years back, and they made this series of grills. And the top of the grill is an actual like Jaguar helmet, and like, oh man, it's got the smokestack where you can kind of turn it. And I don't use it anymore. I just kind of use it now just as like a display piece. But like, man, that like it's, you know, that time of year where it's coming up, where it's college football, man, the temperature is going to start dropping here in a little bit, not in Florida, but where you guys are, it's going to start dropping a little bit. And, you know, nothing's better, man, than just, you know, bringing, you know, families together over Saturday, Sunday football. Like the fall is my favorite, you know, time of the year, man. It's not too hot to where you can go out and drink a beer, but then you're also, you know, pounding some burgers and dogs and, you know, all relishing in your sports, man. It's like the best time of the year, dude.
Heck yeah, man. Well, we hit that arrow mark. John, we haven't even got into any of your recipes or your cooking style.
We got to bring you back on.
We got to get you back on, man, because we didn't even touch the tip of this iceberg that you have going on. You know, you have an amazing job that's able to let you travel, you know, be able to go see some really cool stadiums and sports teams and stuff like that. We haven't even touched any of that stuff. And even a recipe, you know, like we didn't even talk about what you put on your ribs, you know what I mean? Other than SPG, you know, but we really need to get you back on the show and go into a little bit deeper about your cooking style. But I think this was a great intro for people to listen to and understand who you are, and maybe get out there and follow you, and then we can actually really dig into your actual real barbecue of what's really going on in that backyard.
If we need to, I'll give you guys like a real quick like ancillary, you know, that anyone needs to make for a side or anything else like that. My favorite barbecue side is baked beans. And also up there with potato salad. Super controversial hot take, but if you make a good potato salad, like a good cold potato salad with some dill in there and everything, man, you know, a little bit of boiled eggs. Oh, you got me one. But
I'm gonna agree with you right now with that, because I've had potato salad is just not good. But if it's, you know, you not get that firm potato, you know, some eggs in there, the right mustard and mayo combination. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, so I make a, you know, this side has been pretty much foolproof in a couple of the competitions that I've done, but I do a burnt in baked beans. So what I'll do is I'll take a chuck roast, cube it up, really good. And, get my salt, pepper, garlic on there, get a little smoked paprika, a little bit of brown sugar, kind of toss them into the pan, just to get some of that color and what we want, on, what is a burnt end, right? And so get it cubed up really nice. Put that on the smoker. I'm taking 2 cans Bush's baked beans, the original, and then 1 can of their grilling beans. They have a bourbon barbecue, like grilling beans is pretty good. You can find all this like Walmart, Myers, wherever, Hy-Vee, whatever grocery store you go to. Then take, the Holy Trinity. You got to get the green bell pepper. You got to get some celery. And then you also got to get a little bit of garlic, not granulated, like actual garlic. Go ahead and chop that up really good. Get that in there. And the kicker, man, I usually throw in, because I love food with a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a, diced jalapeno in there to kind of, wake up the taste buds, get everything going. From there, going to take a little bit more of that brown sugar, a little bit of mustard, throw them in there, mix it all together in that pan, smoke it. Once those burnt ends, get done, then we're going to take some ground beef, fire that up, some bacon, throw it all in there, man. And then, kind of let it simmer a little bit because you don't want to get too thick because then it becomes like a chili-ish kind of feel to it. So you want to keep it like right where there's a little bit of liquid in that baked bean that run together with that potato salad, right? That part right there, that little,
that's the perfect bite.
There is the best part, right? That's where you separate the north and the south between that baked bean and that potato salad right there. So that's my favorite part, man. And I throw some of those burnt ends. After we put them in some barbecue sauce. My favorite barbecue sauce I'm using right now has probably got to be either the I know it's Joe's KC, their barbecue sauce, man. Like I just think it's like it's unmatched. I like that one. And then I also like the Blue Hogs too. Blue Hogs is really good. Their original barbecue sauce is on point. Like to me, that's what barbecue sauce is. Like the Blue Hogs is really good. Put that back on put those burnt ends in a little pan, get that brown sugar, some butter in there. Once you get them all tender where you can kind of feel them, right? And you can feel them and they kind of start breaking apart. Shred them up, mix them up in that baked beans, and go get yourself some cash, man. That's like the best, best way to go ahead and give somebody a quick side if they're struggling with it. And baked beans usually go over pretty well, any competition, when it comes with them. Plus, you got extra, man. I mean, if you're cooking all day, you've got, you're probably down like maybe 6 or 7 beers. Those baked beans will bring you back to life and real quick.
Yeah, I'm actually making some of those today with my tri tips. So I'll shoot you an Instagram message to see what you think, see if you approve.
Nice.
Heck yeah, man. Well, let's get out of here. Before we get out of here, John, go ahead and let people know where to find you. Maybe get in contact with you, and maybe even hey, I'm going out to Jacksonville. I want to swing by and say what's up.
Yeah, for sure, man. So the best way to find me is going to be on Instagram. So you can look me up on Instagram at Kellum, K3LLUM, the 3. I'm the 3rd. Want to try to do something different. So instead of the E, it's a 3. So you can find me there. And then also I'm pretty active, at least in Jacksonville on Twitter. As well. So you can find me at JK the 3rd on Twitter as well. So I'm usually at every game, go to 2 away games a year, as well for the Jags. So I think this year we're going down to Miami and a couple things in place, but I'm speaking to existence. Monday Night Football in Buffalo. That one's going to be an insane tailgating scene for me, to kind of knock off my bucket list as well. So, I appreciate you guys having me as well. Anthony, Jesse, thank you all for the platform. Thank you for, letting us, entry level ish cooks, make it not as intimidating, to get on there and hop on a pit. At the end of the day, it's all about, creating experiences, feeding your family good food, and keeping some of that money in your pocket, staying out of the restaurants, right?
For sure. Yeah. Thanks again, man. And we'll catch you on the back end of this, but thank you for spending your birthday with us, talking. And we're definitely going to get you back on here so we can actually dive into a little bit deeper into some of your cooking style and all that too. Sure. So thank you, man. Let's get out of here.
Hey, brother, happy birthday. Have a good day.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.